The cardboard pizza box hit the wet pavement with a hollow thud. Rain glistened on the streetlights. Steam curled from sewer grates. And Michael Carter, a lanky man in faded jeans and a scuffed leather jacket, froze mid-step. Because just ahead, a masked figure was shoving a terrified little boy into the back of a black van. The child's scream sliced through the night air. Michael didn't think. He didn't weigh the odds. He simply ran. Footsteps pounded. Breath quickened. The sound of the van door sliding shut echoed like a countdown to something irreversible. And then chaos. A blur of fists. A flash of steel. The kidnapper lunged, knife glinting. Michael moved faster, precise and brutal, disarming the man with a speed that no ordinary pizza guy should possess. Seconds later, the attacker lay crumpled on the ground, unconscious. The boy, trembling, sobbing, clung to Michael's waist. "Hey, you're safe now," Michael whispered, his voice low and steady. His hands were rough, calloused, but they rested gently on the boy's back. The flashing red and blue of approaching sirens bathed the scene. And a single question hung heavy in the air. Hours later, under the buzzing fluorescent lights of Boston's downtown precinct, Sophia Harrington sat rigid in a metal chair. Her designer blazer clashed with the peeling paint and grim walls around her. Sophia Harrington wasn't the kind of woman who waited. She commanded. As the CEO of Harrington Cybertech, one of the fastest-growing security firms in the East, she was accustomed to boardrooms and billion-dollar contracts, not interrogation rooms that smelled faintly of stale coffee. Across the table, Detective Alvarez repeated his assurance. "Your son Daniel is safe, Ms. Harrington. The kidnapper's in custody. The man who intervened, he's giving his statement now." Sophia's manicured fingers tapped against the metal tabletop. A sharp, impatient rhythm. Her voice came out cool, controlled. "And you're absolutely certain this pizza delivery man isn't involved somehow? The timing is too convenient." Detective Alvarez lifted an eyebrow. "We checked his records. 8 months at Pronto Pizza. Clean history. No priors. Co-workers vouch for him." Sophia wasn't convinced. In her world of cyber espionage and government contracts, coincidences rarely existed. She glanced toward the two-way mirror. Was her son's mysterious rescuer standing just beyond it? The door opened, and in walked Michael Carter. Tall, lean, a 3-day stubble, a small cut above his eyebrow still bleeding faintly. His faded uniform clung awkwardly beneath that worn leather jacket. Yet it wasn't his appearance that unsettled Sophia. It was his eyes, sharp, alert, scanning every detail of the room in one practice sweep. This was not the gaze of a man who spent his nights delivering pepperoni pizzas. "Mom." Daniel broke free from the social worker's grasp, and to Sophia's shock, he ran straight to Michael, not to her. The boy's arms wrapped tightly around Michael's waist. His small face lit up with relief, admiration. "He saved me. He moved like a ninja, Mom. Just like in my games." Michael shifted uncomfortably, patting Daniel's shoulder. "Hey, buddy, your mom's right there." Sophia rose, smoothing her blazer with the same instinctive motion she used before walking into hostile boardrooms. Her voice cut sharp. "Daniel, come. Here. Now." The boy obeyed reluctantly, glancing back at Michael with wide, admiring eyes. Sophia noticed it. That look. That shift. A pang of something, gratitude, yes, but also jealousy, flickered through her chest. She extended her hand stiffly. "Thank you for saving my son, Mr. Carter. I owe you a debt of gratitude." Michael's handshake was brief, his fingers rough, scarred, calloused. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Detective Alvarez cut in. He slid a folder across the table. "Not anyone. The kidnapper had a knife. Our delivery guy here disarmed him with skills I don't usually see outside of training academies. Care to explain, Mr. Carter?" Michael shrugged, face carefully blank. Adrenaline. Fight or flight. Sophia's eyes narrowed. Her instincts sharpened. "And where exactly did you learn these skills?" Michael's lips twitched. "Watched a lot of action movies." Before anyone could respond, Daniel piped up loudly. "He's lying." The boy's eyes sparkled with excitement. He knew exactly what to do. And he has a tattoo. Like soldiers have. I saw it when he fought the bad guy. Michael tugged his sleeve down quickly, covering his wrist. Too quickly. Sophia's sharp eyes didn't miss it. Detective Alvarez cleared his throat. We still don't know why your son was targeted, Ms. Harrington. Anyone who might hold a grudge against you? Enemies? Competitors? Sophia's mind raced. Rivals. Laid-off employees. Government contracts with too much at stake. Yes, there were plenty of enemies. But Michael Carter spoke before she could. The man who took Daniel had a Ukrainian accent. Subtle. Also his watch. Russian military issue. Vostok Commander Series. The detective blinked. And you recognize this? How? Michael hesitated. Internet rabbit holes. I read a lot between deliveries. It was a weak excuse. Too weak. Sophia knew it. She was trained to catch lies in high-stakes negotiations. And this man, this so-called pizza guy, was lying. Daniel tugged Michael's jacket. Will you come see my room sometime? I have all the new Defender Force figures. Sophia's tone cut sharp final. Mr. Carter is very busy, and will be increasing security at home. No visitors. Mom, Daniel protested. No arguments. Her eyes flicked back to Michael, her polite smile a weapon in itself. My assistant will contact you about a reward. Michael shook his head. Not necessary. I insist, Sophia replied coolly. Now, if you'll excuse us. But Michael's voice stopped her at the door. Ms. Harrington, whoever arranged this, they'll try again. The man I stopped? Just a hired hand. Sophia stiffened. And you know this because... Michael hesitated, then simply answered. Experience. Their eyes locked. Distrust. Suspicion. And something else neither wanted to name. But what kind of experience did Michael Carter mean? And why did a pizza delivery man fight like a soldier who'd seen too much war? The Harrington estate stood like a fortress at the edge of the city. Acres of manicured lawns, wrought iron gates, and cameras perched like unblinking eyes. Inside, in her high-tech home office, Sophia Harrington sat before a wall of glowing screens. Code streamed down one monitor, security feeds played on another, and government deadlines filled the third. The kidnapping attempt had changed everything. Now the cyber defense system her company had been developing, the Atlas Protocol, had to be finished in days, not weeks. Sophia's fingers flew across the keyboard. The air hummed with the sound of cooling fans. Her eyes burned with exhaustion, but her mind refused to slow. And then, a knock. Her security chief, Robertson, leaned into the doorway. Ms. Harrington. Delivery at the gate. A pizza. Driver says your son ordered it. Sophia froze. Using my account? Yes. Robertson's jaw tightened. And the driver is the same man from the other night. Carter. Her pulse quickened. She flicked her gaze toward the security feed. And there he was. Michael Carter. Standing at the gate, a pizza box in his hands, his scooter parked behind him. Calm. Patient. But those sharp eyes still scanning. Always scanning. Sophia's chest tightened. Coincidence? Or something else? Let him through, she said finally. But escort him to the kitchen. And bring Daniel down. Minutes later, Daniel bounded into the kitchen, his small sneakers slapping against the marble floor. His face lit up the moment he saw Michael. You came. I knew you would. Sophia crossed her arms. Daniel, we've talked about ordering things without permission. But Mom, Michael's cool. I wanted him to see my room. Sophia's jaw clenched. Loneliness often clung to her son like a shadow. And here was this stranger, someone Daniel had already attached himself to. Michael set the pizza box down, raising his hands in surrender. Sorry about this. I can leave the food and go. But before anyone could respond, red lights flared along the ceiling. Security doors sealed with a mechanical thunk. Robertson burst in, hand already on his weapon. Perimeter breach. East wall. Sophia's heart lurched. She grabbed Daniel, holding him close. Michael's entire posture changed. The casual delivery man was gone. What stood before her now was something sharper. Hardened. A soldier. How many entrances? Michael snapped. Robertson blinked, momentarily caught off guard by the tone. 4. Plus the terrace doors. Your team. 3 men across the grounds. Michael's eyes flicked to the tablet in Robertson's hand, taking in the camera feeds with military precision. They're creating a diversion. The boy's the target. Where's the safe room? Sophia hesitated. Trust this stranger? Or follow standard protocols that had already failed once? Daniel tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide. Mom, trust him. Another alarm blared. This one closer. Sophia swallowed her fear. Basement. Behind the wine cellar. Reinforced door. Michael's voice was steady, commanding. Go. Now. He turned to Robertson. I need your backup weapon. To Sophia's shock, Robertson didn't argue. He pulled a second gun from his ankle holster and handed it over. Michael checked the weapon with practiced ease. His hands moved with the confidence of a man who had done this countless times before. Go, he said again. They hurried toward the basement stairs. Footsteps thundered above them. Glass shattered. The heavy thud of boots crossing the terrace. Then 2 masked figures burst through the doors ahead. Michael shoved Sophia and Daniel forward. Run. Gunfire erupted. The crack of bullets against stone. The thud of bodies hitting the ground. Sophia clutched Daniel as they raced down the stairs. Her mind spun. Who was this man? A soldier? A spy? Something darker? At the bottom of the stairs, the hidden safe room loomed. A steel door disguised as part of the wine cellar wall. Robertson punched in the code, sweat beading at his temple. Mom. Daniel cried. Michael's still up there. He'll be fine, Sophia lied, forcing her voice to steady. Robertson will help him. The safe room door sealed shut behind them. Monitors flickered to life, displaying feeds from across the house. On one screen, Michael moved with terrifying efficiency, a blur of fists, elbows, and gunfire. He dispatched one intruder with a chokehold so precise, so clinical, it spoke of years of training. Sophia's breath caught. This man wasn't just skilled. He was lethal. Robertson muttered under his breath, eyes glued to the monitor. Moves like my old unit commander. Special forces, maybe. Sophia's phone buzzed suddenly. An encrypted message. Check your development server. Breach detected 3 days ago. They're after Atlas. Her blood ran cold. How did anyone know about Atlas? Before she could process, a new figure appeared on the basement feed. A third intruder approaching the wine cellar. There's another, she whispered, pulling Daniel close. She could feel his little heart racing against her chest. Robertson raised his weapon. Safe room secure. Let him try. But then, Michael appeared on the screen behind the intruder. Silent as a shadow. Deadly as a blade. In seconds, the man was unconscious, Michael standing over him, chest heaving, blood dripping from a fresh cut on his cheek. Minutes later, sirens wailed in the distance. Police units swarmed the estate. The safe room door opened. Michael stood there, weapon lowered, scanning every corner of the cellar with razor-sharp awareness. Daniel tore from Sophia's grasp. You're hurt. He wrapped his arms around Michael's waist, tears in his eyes. Michael winced, but patted the boy's back gently. Just a scratch, buddy. Sophia stepped forward, her gaze never leaving him. Her voice came out quiet. Who are you really, Mr. Carter? Michael's eyes held hers. Steady, unflinching. Someone who was in the right place at the right time. Twice. But Sophia wasn't convinced. And the unease in her chest whispered one thing louder than all the sirens outside. So who exactly was Michael Carter? And why did he fight with the precision of a man trained to kill? The days after the attack blurred into a strange new rhythm inside the Harrington estate. Michael Carter no longer wore the red and white uniform of Pronto Pizza. Instead, he dressed in simple tactical clothing that seemed more natural on him than anything else. His posture, his eyes, the way he carried himself, everything screamed soldier. Daniel trailed him constantly, like a shadow. Sophia watched the bond forming between them, a mixture of gratitude and unease stirring in her chest. Late one afternoon, Sophia sat in her home office, a mug of untouched coffee cooling beside her. Her screens glowed with documents she wasn't supposed to have. Private investigators' reports she'd commissioned herself. Michael Carter. The file painted a picture that looked solid on the surface. Born in New Hampshire. Served in the Army. Discharged honorably. Odd jobs across several states. No criminal record. But there were gaps. Too many. Months, even years, unaccounted for. And his military service record? Suspiciously sparse. Someone had scrubbed his past. Sophia leaned back, crossing her arms. "Who are you really, Michael Carter?" she whispered to herself. A knock on the door startled her. "Come in." Michael stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. "Perimeter secure," he reported. 3 vulnerable access points adjusted. Robertson's men are rotating patrols more effectively now. His voice was calm, professional, almost military. "Thank you." Sophia gestured to the chair opposite her. "Sit." He hesitated, then sat. Even in the comfortable chair, his posture remained rigid, alert, like a man who never allowed himself to truly rest. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, catching the scar above his eyebrow. Sophia studied him openly. "You're not really a pizza delivery man." It wasn't a question. Michael's lips curved in something close to amusement. "I was delivering pizzas when I stopped your son's kidnapping. That part's true. And before that." His expression gave nothing away. "Does it matter?" Sophia's eyes hardened. "It matters when my son has become attached to you. Daniel lost his father 3 years ago. He's vulnerable to male role models." Something flickered in Michael's eyes at that. Recognition. Pain. "I understand," he said quietly. "Do you have children, Mr. Carter?" The question struck like a blade. Sophia saw it, the subtle tightening around his jaw, the flicker of grief in his eyes, before he could mask it. "Had," he said at last. His voice rasped on the word. "A daughter, Emma. She would have been 12 this year." The silence that followed was heavy. Sophia let it stretch. She'd learned long ago that silence often drew out more truth than pressure. Michael's fingers brushed the inside of his wrist absent-mindedly, where that half-hidden tattoo lay beneath his sleeve. "She died," he continued, his voice low. "Collateral damage. Wrong place. Wrong time." Sophia's chest tightened. Collateral damage. The phrase belonged to soldiers and law enforcement. A cold euphemism for lives destroyed. And her mother? Caroline couldn't handle it. "We divorced 6 years ago." Michael stood abruptly, as if the air had grown too heavy. "If there's nothing else." "There is." Sophia opened a drawer and slid a file across the desk. "This arrived anonymously yesterday." Michael froze. The photograph staring back at him showed himself, clean-shaven and in a dark suit, standing beside a man Sophia recognized instantly. FBI Assistant Director Marshall. The date stamp? 3 years ago. "You were federal law enforcement," Sophia said softly. Michael's silence confirmed it more than words ever could. "Why hide it?" she pressed. "Why deliver pizzas when you clearly have valuable skills?" His laugh was hollow. "Maybe I got tired of people getting hurt around me." Sophia leaned forward. "The encrypted messages I received during the attack, warnings about the breach. They came from you, didn't they?" Michael's jaw tightened. "How did you know about Atlas? About the breach?" Finally, he sank back into the chair, resignation etched into his features. "I wasn't randomly delivering pizza to your neighborhood that night. I'd been monitoring threats tied to several tech executives, people connected to Atlas." Sophia's pulse spiked. The Atlas Protocol, her company's most classified project. "You're still working for the government," she whispered. Michael shook his head. "Not officially. I left the bureau after." He trailed off, his hand drifting again to his scarred wrist. Sophia finished for him, her voice gentle. "After Emma." Michael's silence was an answer in itself. The door burst open. "Jack." Daniel's voice rang through the office. The boy held up a crooked model airplane, his eyes sparkling. "Look what I made." Michael's face softened instantly, the steel in his posture melting as he crouched down to Daniel's level. "Looks good, buddy," he said, examining the toy. but the wings are a little off. Want me to help fix it? Yeah. Can we? Michael glanced at Sophia, seeking permission without words. She hesitated, then nodded. Dinner's at 7, she said quietly. You're welcome to join us. Michael. Just Michael, he corrected softly. If I'm fixing airplanes, we can drop the formality. Later that night, Sophia paused outside Daniel's room. Through the crack in the door, she saw them, Michael and Daniel sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by plastic pieces and toy tools. Daniel's small voice carried softly. My dad was teaching me before the accident. He worked with planes. Michael nodded gently. He'd be proud of how well you're learning. Did you teach your daughter stuff like this? Daniel asked. Michael's expression shifted. Pain, memory, love. Yeah, he said finally. Emma loved building things. She wanted to be an engineer. What happened to her? Michael's voice lowered, steady but heavy. There was an accident. Some bad people were after me because of my job. She got hurt. Daniel blinked. Is that why you quit being an FBI agent? Michael froze. Surprise flickered across his face. Smart kid, he murmured. Then, more firmly, yeah, that's part of it. Daniel's voice wavered. Sometimes, I think it's my fault my dad died. I asked him to come home early that day. If I hadn't. Michael turned Daniel to face him. His voice was fierce, urgent. Listen to me. Accidents are never the child's fault. Never. Your dad loved you. Nothing about what happened was because of you. Sophia's breath caught in the hallway. Her eyes burned. She knew Michael was speaking to Daniel, but also to himself. Daniel's next question was almost a whisper. Do you think my dad and Emma are friends? In heaven. Michael's voice roughened. I bet they are. Probably building the best airplanes together. Sophia stepped back silently, pressing a hand to her chest. For the first time since her husband's death, she felt something she thought she'd lost. Hope. But that hope shattered an hour later, when her phone buzzed with another encrypted message. Internal threat. Trust no one close to you. Sophia's gaze flicked back toward the office window, where Michael stood in the darkened garden, a lone silhouette against the night. And for the first time, she wondered, was the real danger outside her walls, or already standing inside them? Who was Michael Carter really protecting, Sophia and Daniel? Or something far bigger that could cost them everything? The demonstration hall pulsed with energy. Rows of suited officials, military brass, and Harrington Cybertech executives filled the room, their voices blending into a low, eager hum. On stage, Sophia Harrington stood tall, polished, professional. Every inch the CEO in control. But inside, her pulse throbbed with unease. The Atlas Protocol, her company's crown jewel, the cybersecurity system that promised to protect entire infrastructures, was about to be unveiled. But after the kidnapping attempt, the attack on her estate, and those encrypted warnings whispering of betrayal, Sophia trusted no one. Except maybe Michael Carter. At the back of the room, Michael leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes sweeping over every movement, every shift in the crowd. To others, he might have looked casual. But Sophia knew better. He was hunting, watching, waiting. And his eyes kept returning again and again to Jonathan Pierce, her late husband's closest friend, Ethan's godfather, her CFO. Sophia began her speech. Atlas represents 5 years of tireless development. Today, we demonstrate not just theory, but its real-world application. Polite applause. Cameras clicked. Jonathan Pierce shifted in his seat near the front row, his expression calm, almost too calm. Every so often, he checked his watch, a nervous tick. Michael's instincts prickled. As Sophia transitioned into the technical explanation, Michael slipped through a side door, moving toward the control room. Inside, a young technician hunched over the console, typing furiously. System check. Michael asked casually. The kid startled. Yeah, just fixing a glitch before the demonstration goes live. Michael's gaze dropped to a small device plugged into the system's USB port. A device that didn't belong. What's that? The technician's hands froze. Mr. Pierce told me to install it. Said it was for graphic support. Michael's eyes hardened. His hand brushed against the holstered weapon beneath his jacket. Step away from the console. Now, on stage, Sophia pressed a key on her tablet. Let's simulate an attempted cyber attack, and you'll see how Atlas responds. But instead of her planned simulation, the screen behind her filled with scrolling code. Lines of Atlas's core protocols streamed before everyone's eyes. A sharp gasp rippled through the audience. "No," Sophia whispered under her breath. And then chaos. Sirens blared. Security doors slammed shut. Red lights bathed the room in an ominous glow. Jonathan Pierce rose smoothly, pulling a gun from inside his jacket. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced coldly, "nobody move. This will be over in 3 minutes." Sophia's heart clenched. "Jonathan, what are you doing?" His eyes glinted with something bitter, something long buried. "Securing my future." Gasps erupted. Officials scrambled, only to find their weapons useless. The security system had disabled them. Jonathan's voice cut through the panic. "For 5 years, I watched you take credit for David's work. 5 years of being the loyal second. Did you really think I'd let you sell his legacy to the government for pennies when others would pay millions?" The words hit Sophia like a blade. "The kidnapping, the attack on my home. That was you." Jonathan's smirk was cold. "Regrettable escalation. You could have avoided it all if you just handed over the access codes." "David would be disgusted by what you become," Sophia spat. Jonathan's jaw tightened. David was weak, too principled. "I am not." Suddenly, darkness. The lights cut out. The room plunged into black. Panic surged through the crowd. Seconds later, emergency lights flickered on, washing everything in red. And in that glow, a shadow moved. Silent. Predatory. Michael Carter. The struggle was brutal. Michael launched himself at Jonathan, the two crashing into the demonstration table, shattering equipment. Jonathan was strong, trained. His military background made him a dangerous opponent. But Michael was something else. Something sharper. Deadlier. "You're too late," Jonathan gasped, straining against Michael's hold. "The data's already being transmitted. My buyers have it." Michael's grim smile cut through the chaos. "You mean this?" He held up the USB device, yanked from the control room. "Your technician was very cooperative once I explained the prison sentence for treason." Jonathan's eyes widened. Rage twisted his face. With a desperate surge, he broke free, lunging toward Sophia. He wrenched her against him, pressing the gun to her temple. "New plan," he hissed. "She comes with me." Sophia's breath caught, fear clawing at her throat. "Jonathan, think. David trusted you. He made you Ethan's godfather." Jonathan's grip tightened. "And I protected him. I never would have let Ethan be harmed." Michael's voice cut through, quiet but sharp. "Like you protected Emma Miller?" The words froze Jonathan. His eyes widened in recognition. "Miller," he whispered. "You're John Miller, the FBI agent from Bristol." Gasps rippled through the room. Sophia's mind reeled. Michael Carter was no pizza man. He was John Miller, FBI. Jonathan sneered. "Your family was collateral damage. The foreign partners wanted you silenced, and they got your daughter instead. You've been chasing me ever since." Michael's voice was low, lethal. "Except they got Emma, and the Bureau buried it. Offered me a quiet retirement. But I don't do quiet." He stepped closer. Jonathan's smirk faltered. "So what now, Agent Miller? Revenge won't bring her back." "This isn't revenge," Michael said. His eyes burned. "It's justice." In that moment of distraction, Sophia drove her elbow back into Jonathan's ribs. He grunted, loosening his grip. Michael moved in a flash. Gun twisted away. Knee driven hard. Jonathan dropped. Security forces burst through the sealed doors, Robertson at the front. Jonathan Pierce, bloodied and restrained, was dragged away, shouting accusations, his voice echoing in the hall. The chaos faded. Sophia stood trembling, the weight of betrayal heavy in her chest. Her eyes found Michael, standing alone, holding the USB drive. "You used us as bait," she said bitterly. Michael's gaze met hers, steady but tired. I used Jonathan's obsession with Atlas, but I never expected him to target Daniel. When that happened, his voice cracked just barely. The mission changed. To what? Michael's answer was simple. Quiet. Protection. But could Sophia trust him? Because if Michael Carter or John Miller had lied about who he was from the beginning, what else was he still hiding? The weeks after Jonathan Pierce's arrest felt like living in the quiet after storm. But silence wasn't peace. Silence was just the sound of scars healing. At the Harrington estate, Daniel sat on the front steps every evening after school, his chin resting on his hands, eyes fixed on the driveway. Waiting. Watching. Hoping. He was waiting for Michael. But Michael, John Miller, hadn't returned. Not since the night of the Atlas demonstration, when he'd handed Sophia the USB drive and walked away. Sophia had tried to explain it to Daniel. That sometimes heroes disappear. That sometimes goodbyes are too heavy to say. But explanations did little to fill the hollow ache in her son's heart. Or her own. One crisp autumn evening, as golden leaves skittered across the lawn, Sophia sat beside Daniel on the steps. She pulled her cardigan tighter against the chill. "He's not coming back, is he?" Daniel asked quietly, still staring at the gate. Sophia wrapped an arm around his shoulders. "I don't know, sweetheart. He didn't even say goodbye." "Sometimes," she said softly, "goodbye is the hardest thing to say, especially when you care about someone." Daniel leaned against her. His voice was small. "Do you think he's delivering pizzas somewhere else?" Sophia smiled sadly. "Maybe. Or maybe he's figuring out what he wants to do next. Something that helps people." Her phone buzzed. A call from the FBI task force. "Ms. Harrington," the agent said, "we've confirmed Pierce was working with foreign intelligence, the same group tied to the Bristol case 3 years ago." "And Miller?" she asked, her heart skipping. Silence on the line. "Then, we haven't located him." Sophia hung up, not surprised. Michael had spent 3 years evading the Bureau while hunting Pierce. He wasn't about to start cooperating now. "Ms. Harrington," Robertson called from the doorway. "Someone's at the gate. Says he has a delivery. It's not on the schedule." Sophia tensed. "Who is it?" Robertson hesitated, then allowed himself the faintest smile. "A Mr. Miller. Says he has something that belongs to Daniel." Daniel shot to his feet, his voice breaking into a shout. "It's him." He nearly tripped running down the steps. "It's Michael." Sophia rose slowly, her breath catching. And then she saw him. Michael Carter. John Miller. Walking up the driveway. No scooter. No tactical gear. No pizza uniform. Just jeans, a button-down shirt, and a small box under his arm. Daniel collided with him, throwing his arms around his waist. "You came back. Mom said maybe you wouldn't, but I knew you would." Michael staggered slightly under the force of the hug, his expression softening. "Hey, buddy. Sorry it took a while." His eyes lifted to Sophia's. A silent question. A cautious hope. Inside the box, Daniel found a model airplane kit, bigger, more advanced than the last. "Cool." Daniel's voice rang with joy. "Can we build it now?" Michael glanced at Sophia. "If it's all right with your mom." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "It's fine. He's been waiting for you." As Daniel spread the parts across the porch, Sophia pulled Michael aside. "The Bureau is still looking for you," she whispered. "They'll keep looking," Michael replied, his eyes steady. "But John Miller died with Emma. What's left is just Michael Carter, a man trying to figure out what comes next." "And what has come next?" He glanced at Daniel, who was already lost in the pieces of the airplane. His voice softened. "I've had some offers. Private security work. Consulting. Nothing dangerous. Better than pizza deliveries." For the first time in weeks, Michael's lips curved into a real smile. The tips weren't great anyway. A brief, shared laugh cut the tension. Sophia's voice lowered. "Will you be staying in Boston?" The question carried more weight than she intended. Michael met her gaze. "That depends." "On what?" "On whether a certain kid still needs help with model airplanes." He paused, vulnerability flickering across his face. and maybe whether his mom still wants a hand teaching him self-defense. Something loosened in Sophia's chest, something that had been wound tight since the day her husband died. Not love, not yet, but the fragile beginnings of trust, the possibility of rebuilding. "I think," she said softly, "we can arrange that. Michael, come see." Daniel called, waving from the steps. "This one has a real motor." Michael looked at Sophia one last time, as if asking silent permission, not just to join Daniel, but to stay. She nodded. "We're having pasta for dinner. You're welcome to join us." And just like that, the walls between them began to fall. That evening, Sophia stood in the doorway, watching Michael and Daniel bent over the model pieces, their laughter filling the house. For the first time in years, her home didn't feel haunted by loss. Her mind whispered, "Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they hide in the most ordinary disguises." Michael's scarred hands guided Daniel's small fingers with patience and care. His voice low, steady, full of quiet strength. And Sophia realized something else. Sometimes saving others is how we save ourselves. So tell me, do you believe a man like Michael Carter deserves a second chance at life and love? Or do some scars run too deep to ever heal?